Good afternoon, good evening, and if I don't see you,
Well,
good
it's good
night.
morning. We're doing this in morning,
Oh,
so
is it
let's say good
morning?
morning as
Is
well.
it morning?
Yes. Well,
And
you're recording this meeting?
I am, and we're not. It's not. I see your thumb. What is that?
Yeah, it's because I had to get rid of the little thing on screen that says this session is being recorded. So,
Oh,
and
we
I've
are
got
recording. What
my
happened?
n- old age happened, Ken. This is arthritis in the thumb.
I have. I think. Well, hold that up again. I may have that. I have that exact wrist brace.
I got this at Walmart for $9.99.
Well, see what happened. See, I got here and here, and I'm going to Dr. Turco, who is the greatest wrist and hand doctor in the world.
We're going to rename this podcast "Men of a Certain Age" with Ken and Mike.
I, I, I will tell you, this is a sign I shouldn't use up listeners' time telling you this, but when we were on the radio, it may have been when I was with Matt. You may have been gone by then. I was having wrist
You mean
trouble.
you mean fired by then?
I was going to be kind. I got fired too. But some doctor who was listening saying, "Oh, you have wrist problems. Come over and I'll give you a cortisone shot." So, okay, listener.
Mhm.
Uh, I go over, he gives me a shot. Nothing. Didn't help me at all. So then somebody told me to go to Dr. Turco at Plastic Hand and something. So I go to him. I said, "Well, I did get a shot like 6 months ago." He says, "Well, did he do an x-ray while he was doing the shot?" I go, "No, he just gave me a shot." He goes, "Well, how the hell do you know where to do the shot?" I said,
Exactly.
okay. So then he does an X-ray and he says, "Oh, you see that little notch?" He said, "This is going to hurt like hell. But I'm
Yeah.
going to put this shot right there. I'm going to put a cortisone shot right there." For a year, it was great. Then it
Yeah.
started, I went back. He gave me two shots. 2 years it lasted. If I wasn't playing so much pickleball and golf, it probably would be okay, but it's killing me. So
All
I
right.
got
Where's your home pickleball court anyway?
the Woodlands.
All right. So there are no neighbors complaining at the Woodlands
No,
about the sound of your
no.
pickleball
Well, the
ball
tennis players complain.
because apparently, and I have never been around pickleball, and I haven't, so therefore I haven't heard the ambient sound that comes
Oh,
from
it's
it.
it's loud.
But But apparently, it's one of the most annoying things ever.
It
And you
is.
guys are a bunch of
It
lawless
is.
hooligans. You pickleball players are being legislated against in certain communities right here in the state of Maine.
I will admit that they've tried to do less offensive sounding balls and paddles, but the less sound it's a wiffle ball and it's hard plastic.
Hmm.
And the paddle ball is like a carbon face, but it's loud
Sure,
and it's
sure,
obnoxious.
yeah.
But like at our the tennis players who complained about it all the time, you really do get used to it. I mean, I think the tennis players do not complain about it anymore. The tennis players who play pickleball say that you get used to it. And outside that sound can carry, but pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the
I
world.
know, except
And
I
and let
haven't
me tell
played
you
it yet.
something. And let me give you an example. On one court, you can play with 8 people because pickleball court's half the tennis court. So you have two pickleball courts and you play double, so 8 people. The court next to me, 2 people are playing. So we have 8 on our court, 2 on their court. So pickleball maximizes the space. It's just and by the way, old people can play. Am I an athlete? No. Okay. And I am pretty decent at pickleball. And the point is, you don't have to be athletic. It's a skill. It's like ping pong. It
Yeah.
really is very much like ping pong.
You don't have to be athletic to play golf either. Now, some hand-eye coordination does factor in, but I know people who are terrible athletes or have no or little athletic skills who can play golf really well.
John
So.
Daly. Have you seen John Daly?
John Daly is a very talented man, though. The guy can
Yes.
sing, he can play the guitar. He's incredibly, I'm surprised John Daly doesn't get more endorsements, national endorsements.
Well, for beer companies, certainly.
Exactly.
All right, so let's bring it to a little politics, and then we can talk about other stuff. I have 2 things I really want to talk to you about. Is Donald Trump's primary victories helping or hurting the Republican Party? And I'm going to suggest you they're hurting the Republican Party, and I'll tell you why. He's got complete control of the Republican Party. When he endorses somebody against somebody he says is disloyal in the primaries, his candidates are winning. Massey is a great example.
Hmm.
Um, and the senator from Texas, what was no from Louisiana, is a great example as well.
John Cornyn, you
Yeah,
talking about, or
no,
Bill
not
Conrad?
Cornyn is from Texas, and he'll
Yeah.
probably lose. But Paxton, I mean, Paxton is, I mean, how can anybody elect Paxton? But then again, Donald Trump. Anyway, here's what I think the problem is. If you, I don't always believe in polling, as you know, I don't buy polling, but who is he's going to have trouble with in November is the independents because his base is going to vote no matter what. But if the independents don't like Trump, the more MAGA candidates have no chance of winning. Now, there's not that many contested races. Okay, so I still think the Senate's going to be a toss-up at best. Where a year ago, probably it would not have been a toss-up. Republicans would have won it going away. The House is a foregone conclusion. But I think that the more MAGA candidates win the nomination, the more Democrats will succeed at the polls. And I'll tell you, if you look at the numbers in Georgia, the turnout of Democrats in the Georgia elections was the highest turnout of the Democratic Party ever. So I don't think this is helping the Republican Party. I think it's helping Donald Trump.
Well, the Massey thing. I mean, he's got that mavericky thing going on, or he did going on, and he's kind of. I think he's half an asshole, not all the way, but half an asshole. But I don't get too carried away with the, well, gee, Donald Trump controls the Republican Party. When has a duly elected president of the United States not had control of his party?
Joe Biden.
Oh, okay. I knew, as
Yeah,
I was saying that, I knew you were going to come. I could hear you saying that in response. Yeah,
yeah.
because Joe Biden can't even control his own bowels, much less control
Well,
the
George Bush
Democrat.
W lost control at the end of his second term. But you're right. You're right. As a general rule, Bill Clinton had control.
In this day and age, back, when JFK
Barack
was president,
Obama
it's
had
a
control. You're
different
right.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't put a big deal out of that. Look, I think the Republicans are going to take a beating at the midterms. I don't think there's any question about that. And the Senate, as you said, is, still a toss up at this point in time. But I don't get too carried away. It's amazing. I'm always very leery when Democrats start talking about people like they were talking about Massey. And the fact that Democrats were going and talking about Massey in glowing terms makes me very suspect of him anyway. So I don't get carried away with this. I don't. Trump is Trump. He's not going to change. This is what he does. He targets people like this all the time. Look, was it last summer at this time when he and Elon Musk were on the outs again? Now Musk went to China with him. So
Well,
I
because he's
I don't know.
it's all transactional. Look, here's my look. You what's your take on the deal he made with his personal lawyer, who's now the deputy attorney general? This 1.8 billion dollar slush fund, and that they can never go after his family. I mean, how does something like that happen? How does no one in Congress say maybe this is a step too far? I mean,
Hmm.
it's all transactional. I mean, Mike, Donald Trump has sold pardons. If you give Donald Trump money, you're going to get pardoned. Donald
Well,
Trump is transactional.
Ken, let's not just pigeonhole Donald Trump
Joe
here when it
Biden
comes
should
to
not have.
pardons.
Joe Biden should not have. Joe Biden should not have pardoned his son. Two wrongs did not make a right. He was wrong to do it. It's wrong for the Democrats to support it. And by the way, Democrats who, for example, the redistricting, the gerrymandering, the Democrats should have taken the higher road and said, look, we are against this, and we're not going to do it just because you did it. We're going to trust the American people to see what you're doing, and we're taking the high road. I don't like this tit for tat. I don't like not taking the high road. Stand on ethics or don't stand. You can't criticize somebody for being corrupt if you're going to say, well, if he's going to be corrupt, I'm going to be corrupt too.
All right. So you and I, and you specifically in our last couple of podcasts, and by the way, pat on the head to us for getting one done every week now for like a month.
Man.
You've been talking a lot about ethics and candidates, which leads me to Graham Plattner. And there's more stuff. It's every day. It's not like a drip drip. It's like the faucet's on now. And there's more stuff every single day about this guy, jerking off in a porta-john.
I haven't
Uh,
heard that.
yeah, you look that one up.
Well, the privacy of how does anybody know that?
He said it on it was one of those videos that was unearthed on Reddit.
Okay, can I just go on record saying I don't do that, and if I did it, I would not announce it on this podcast.
On Reddit. You wouldn't
let me
you
let me
wouldn't
get
do it
a,
anywhere, but specifically on Reddit.
let me
Maybe
get
Twitter or
ahead of the
something.
game on that.
But every day there's something new, and this guy becomes more of a shit stain as far as I'm concerned.
He's gonna beat Susan Collins
He is
because
not going to beat Susan
I think he
Collins.
is.
I
And
don't think he is.
I don't. I look. Here's the thing. It's because of Donald Trump that Graham Plattner is getting the nomination. It's personality politics. He does not have the moral fiber to be a state legislator, in
He
my
is a
opinion.
complete Manchurian candidate. This guy, don't think that this guy is a populist who just rose up from the people. That's not how this went at all. This guy has been handpicked by the far left to do what he's doing,
I agree.
and there's no two ways about that. And this oyster farmer bullshit and all this other stuff is a complete front. This guy's no more blue collar than you are, Ken.
But
And
Mike,
in fact,
every candidate Donald Trump has endorsed has won because people don't care. The problem is, and I know you and I have a different view on Donald Trump, but the man is corrupt, and it's become the new norm. The MAGA philosophy, I mean, his philosophy is, I I'm just doing what everybody did to me. Everybody that persecuted me, I didn't do anything wrong. I won the election. I had it stolen from me. I'm playing their game. Okay? So now corruption is the new norm. It's what we've come accustomed to. It's like now you're oh, there you go. In the old days, I mean, my God, look at what was his name from Colorado?
Gary Hart,
Gary Hart had a secretary sitting on his lap and
Donna
disqualified
Rice,
him to run.
Donna
Right?
Rice.
So nobody, I don't say everybody, all the Democrats, if Graham Patten is the nominee, which he will be, I will vote for him to vote against Susan Collins. I don't think he should be senator. I think character matters. But when it comes to the Senate, judicial confirmations are critical. And
So Mr. Ethics,
yeah,
how do you balance the two? You've been beating the drum here lately, the
I
last few
agree.
podcasts,
I
like I
agree.
said, about being Mr. Ethics, and now you're going to vote for a guy who
Well, I may
apparently has
not.
none.
In that case, I may not. It is true. I may not vote for Senate. I may just not vote. I can't vote for Susan. And look, I like Susan personally. She voted against Trump, but it doesn't matter. Um, vote for Kavanaugh was, she was on the radio and I questioned her about it. It was ridiculous. And
Her vote for Jackson was ridiculous.
but we have, but she has confirmed virtually every nomination that Donald Trump confirmed. Bobby Kennedy Jr. It's
And
like,
Ken, here's the thing about all those. Remember how those used to be almost or unanimous back in the day? It was,
yes,
you serve at the pleasure of the president, and the president has now that's not the case anymore.
to the victor
These
goes the
things,
spoils.
these things used to not be a factor.
But
Now
Mike,
it's a major
Mike,
factor, and in fact, so big you're voting, you become a one-issue candidate or one-issue voter when it comes to
well,
this.
I always said presidential elections are about Supreme Court. That's what they're about. The Supreme Court. That is what they're about. That's because the Supreme Court has more power. Well, this president has more power than the Supreme Court, but that's a rarity. And so the problem is, yes, I think character matters, and I may stay home and not vote for Plattner. I may absolutely do that. Um, I'm tired of old people. Wouldn't vote for Janet Mills because she's old. Susan Collins, she was going to run for one term. We need new young people. It's not Platt. Dan Clement would have been my choice for Senate. Now, it may be when Plattner gets the nomination, the Republicans who would have stayed home because they don't like Susan Collins will show up to vote against Graham Plattner. And people do vote against candidates rather than vote for somebody. I don't. I'll have to decide at the time. I'm not. I'm really not. All the politicians. Here's the thing. And we've been in politics our whole lives, you and me, Mike. We've done this for decades.
Mm.
It's really tiresome and actually wearing me out to see where we are today. Uh-oh. So we had a momentary break. I
Yeah, a
probably
little
said,
break, and here's my
uh-oh.
hand again. There we go.
Yeah, but you may not know that because I may get my daughter Chelsea to edit this to clean.
Right.
Anyway,
Let's hope
uh,
she can
I
clean
was
up our
saying
mess.
something. I was about being weary. What's going on in our country? What's going on in Congress? The partisan and Democrats. This is not about Republicans. I am glad I'm not registered as a Democrat. I can't be part of the party. We having a two-party system is bullshit because we're not a
Hmm.
two-party country, and I wish independents could succeed more at the polls. I wish we had four parties competing against each other. I just, I mean, when I look at the candidates for governor, eh, I'm just kind of like,
Me too.
you and I talked about term limits. You and I were staunchly against term limits, and now you and I are strongly for them because no, seniority. The reason why Susan Collins brings so much money into Maine is her seniority. That's great for us, but is it best for the country? And it's not. And that's not about
Mm.
Susan Collins. That's about every senator on earth. But
Yeah.
when
So
you have a Bush and a King and a Pingree on the ballot, it's very it's discouraging.
we've got two of them are absolute nepo babies. I don't know if you want to put Jonathan Bush in a nepo baby category. Close enough as we used to say, close enough for FM radio,
Right?
for that. But I want to jump back to Plattner very quickly before we move on. When have you ever? Can you ever remember in Maine of someone who's running for our top congressional seat here, a U.S. senator, who you had never ever heard of before? I mean, this guy has come out of nowhere, and
Absolutely.
that should make people think about things. And it should maybe it's not as you know, it's not that we can't have the a gentleman farmer from Norway, South Paris, come up and decide to run, but this guy there's too much weirdness going on here. Specifically, to me, his rise from absolute anonymity, not relative anonymity, but complete,
I agree.
no question about it. And now he has taken and vanquished a sitting governor who was popular. I don't know why, but she was popular. And he blew her out of the water. And now he's leading what, a six? How many terms has she been in? Five, six?
Yeah.
A six-term United States senator who has great prestige and is highly thought of. He's up by 6, 7, 8 points. Now, granted, it's May 21st as we record this, and a lot can change.
But I don't think all that other stuff that's going to come out and is all going to come out, I don't think it's going to change. It's because Donald Trump has set the bar so
I
low.
agree with you there. Trump famously said that he could shoot somebody in Times Square and his people would still vote for him. Well, Graham Plattner can say that women deserve to be raped. He can say all the shit that he said,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
his people just it's amazing to me, but this is where we are, and I've done this too. It's policy over PR. It's policy to me. The rest of it, I don't care.
And I hear you. I hear you. It's not going to. I certainly would not vote in the primary. I would not have voted for Janet or for Plattner. And I may skip. A lot depends on if I think if I think the Democrats can take over the Senate, which I still think is a toss up, that may sway me. But I believe character matters, and I'm just not that. This guy should not be a senator at all. Chandler Woodcock. Did he have any political experience before?
Oh, I think at a very local level in
Yeah.
Farmington, Chandler was, I mean, he was a high school basketball coach and a mid administrator and an
Great guy.
outdoorsman.
Listen, I don't have anything
He's a
against him.
wonderful guy. I've known Chandler a long time through sports, and he's a wonderful guy. And he sort of rose from relative anonymity. He was somewhat known.
And listen, in
Um,
the governor's race, Rick Bennett, right now, if I had to vote today, I'd vote for Rick Bennett, mainly because he's an independent.
Unbelievable to me that Shah is in front by most polls that you see. This guy, who's a carpetbagger,
I
to
don't get it.
me,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
along with his co-conspirator Janet Mills, absolutely shoved COVID down our throats, ruined the economy in Maine, made us get shots that we did not need to get.
Yeah, but most
Um,
people, but understand the majority of Mainers don't share that view.
which is astonishing to me. The
So
fact that this was a whole, to me, again, a complete sham. The biggest punk job in American history. All of the shit that we went through for nothing. And the guy who led the way in Maine and who ended up at the CDC afterwards is Nirav Shah, who is leading the race for governor. Now, the polling to me is interesting, and I always ask when I see Shah post on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, I always ask him and his people when they're going to bring him north of, say, Lewiston, Auburn, because they keep him really south,
they need to
and
because you
you
got
don't
it with
you
it.
don't
The
see him
Civil
up in
War.
Bingham and Solon and Jackman anywhere because I don't think his shit's going to fly up there.
Yeah, yeah. And keep in mind, some of us, including me, believe that Donald Trump caused 1 million people to die of COVID because I don't see. I don't
No,
share
Dr.
your view.
Fauci is the one who caused all
No,
of those
Dr.
people to
Fauci.
die.
See, I think Dr. Fauci's a hero. So you and I have
Dr.
completely
Fauci brought us the COVID virus, Ken.
not.
The China flu.
He did not. Look, we're not going to go down this road. You and I
Yes,
disagree. We're diametrically opposite when it comes to COVID, but that's okay. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think that, and the real problem is really not what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years, but what's going to happen after Donald Trump leaves. Will we get back to the day where Gary Hart shouldn't be disqualified because there's a secretary sitting on his lap? That may be too extreme. But Bill Clinton, lying under oath, but you know what? People were doing okay financially when Bill Clinton did that. So it's like, yeah, that's
and I look,
disgusting.
I voted for Bill Clinton twice, but we now know that no candidate can hide anything about themselves. That everything is going to be found out. Now, let's go back 65, almost 66 years to John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
If everything that John Kennedy was doing, John Kennedy fucked every skirt that walked. Believe me, he banged every broad that he could. And the press never mentioned a
They
word about the
protected
women
him. They
ducking in
protected
and out of the White. And this, if we had known then what we know now about JFK, we'd be having the debate would be this at the same level it is now with every other candidate, Trump, no matter who it is. There are very few of these men, mostly, who have any kind of ethics or morals whatsoever.
him.
They would throw their mother under the bus if it would further their career. I Kennedy comes from and there was the old man was ruthless. They had a lobotomy performed on Rosemary just so she wouldn't be a bother to them. You know what I mean? We're not talking about a love-filled family here, but I'm getting way off the track here. The bottom line is if we're going to vote purely on ethics,
I
there's
agree.
not going to be anybody running.
I believe that absolute power corrupts absolutely. I will say that I thought that the Bushes, senior and W, as it goes, are fairly ethical. I think
Well, I
Ronald
think old man definitely. The younger, a little, he obviously had, as
he,
Billy Childs found out, had an OUI.
he did, and maybe a cocaine problem. Ronald Reagan, I thought was a pretty ethical. Jimmy Carter certainly was.
Absolutely.
I think Obama was. I think that Biden was not. I think that Donald Trump is not. I think, but in the past 100 years, how many of our presidents do you think did not have mistresses?
Not very many.
Maybe Roosevelt because he was in a wheelchair would be it. I just and Obama, George Bush, the Bushes, Obama, those guys, and Reagan, they were straight arrow. I don't, but but Bill Clinton, clearly was immoral, has no moral compass whatsoever. But we had a balanced budget. What's your
We did.
priority? You
We
know,
had a balanced budget. We had peace. We had a good economy. We
yeah,
had,
yeah, agreed. So I
and
agree with you. It's very, maybe I'm just getting too old, but it's very. I think my kids and my grandkids are. I think what what's happening today in politics will be another 20 years before the pendulum swings back. All will be long dead, but it's really what we've done to our democracy is disgraceful. Really?
Yeah, and I share you in that sentiment. I had this conversation with someone yesterday. What we've done
Yeah.
is scary to me, and what we're going to leave behind is scary to me. And I'm almost at the point now where I'll be glad that I'm gone and won't be able to, and won't have to, and certainly won't be able to, as far as I know when I'm dead, to experience what I think is going to happen. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if it's fixable. I don't know if the people are willing to step up, the next generation, to have a revolution, which is what I think is necessary to happen in order to fix this.
Yeah. I think that you've got to play the game to get elected. And once you get there, you like the trappings. And it's very hard to say, gee, I got a driver. I got
Yeah.
things are getting paid for. By the way, this guy will give me $100,000 if I just vote this way.
Hmm.
That's intoxicating.
Very much
That's
so.
intoxicating. If somebody wants to give me $100,000, I don't know what I have to do for it. I'll tell you what, give me $100,000 and I'll come on the podcast and say I like Donald Trump one time. And then you can play it over and over and over again. $100,000 on for sale.
Wow. Doesn't take much for Ken Altshuler.
Hundred thousand
100,
dollars. Come on.
100K. All
Come
right,
on.
now you got to watch how you say, because if you say 100 grand, we could go back to that old radio joke where they won 100 grand and they gave him a candy bar. Remember that?
Exactly right. All right. So, any plans for the Memorial Day weekend?
Well, today, as we do this on Thursday, I am about to leave here and I am about to go to my sister-in-law's place in Waterville and fire up Velma for the first time this year.
Nice, nice. You
I have,
didn't. You
I
did
have
it
not,
not when
I
it
have
was real
not.
hot.
What's that?
Why did you drive it when the temperature was 90 degrees?
Because I've been working every day and I don't have a game to broadcast today. So today's a good day to go get it going. Got to have a little tune-up done to it at the repair shop, and then so I might ride a little bit this weekend if it
Nice.
doesn't rain.
It's raining
And
from uh, it's raining from noon on Sunday to 5 o'clock on Monday, according to Todd Gettner.
the AMS seal of approval from meteorologist Ken Altshuler. So I'm hoping, what I'm hoping is that when you have the annual Doyle Altshuler 4th of July party, that I will ride her down there.
And keep in mind, Memorial Day weekend is when I send the invites out.
I know that's why I mentioned it. It's
You're on the list. So once again, Mike gets a phone call and knocks himself off. So we
sorry.
better quit while we're ahead. And
Yeah,
Chelsea,
and
I'll be sending this to Chelsea to edit it. And then next week, and we've done a good job. Thursday seems to be a better day because I don't remember till Wednesday. So Thursday seems to be a good day. So we'll do
yeah, that's where
that.
we are. When the dust settles from the weekend, it's Wednesday afternoon before we decide we can do one on Thursday.
Exactly right. And as I think we should mention Memorial Day, there's many people who made the sacrifice to protect
Mhm.
our country. So we should remember those. As you know, I have an
And
issue with
it's
having
the
2 days.
ultimate sacrifice. Remember what
Yeah.
Memorial Day is for. Remember what Veterans Day is for. And of course, the fact that there's both of them pisses you off. I know, but
Thank you for saying that. I
we,
appreciate
we
it.
be that as it may, we will leave it right there.
You have a great weekend, my friend.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it. You
Bye.
too.